Hey guys, I'm back. This video that you're about to watch is story time, and I told you guys I would do one, and I'm going to tell you guys about the worst trip of my entire life. If you want to hear about that, the horror story of my train trip, then just keep watching. Okay guys, so you came to hear a story, and I'm about to tell you about the worst trip I have ever been on in my entire life. First of all, it was my mom, my brother, and myself, and we were, let me fix these pillows so I can lay down. My mom, my brother, and myself, we were going from Dallas to New York City. So we were going to fly, but my mom's not crazy about flying, and so she's like, well, why don't we check out a train? And like, have you guys ever seen those Christmas movies where these people are like on a train? They're probably from like the 40s or something, but they were on a train and like they're singing Christmas carols and like drinking hot chocolate, and like it's very pleasant on screen. Well, that's kind of what I was thinking that it would be, and I was like, I'm so down, let's do it. It would be so much fun. Now, it does take like 3 days, and it's kind of a long trip in comparison to flying, but I was like, why not? I mean, it sounds so much fun. It's Christmas time. It's gonna take us right into New York City, so let's just do it. So we were excited. We bought our tickets, and you can buy tickets where you're in your own little cabin, or you just have a regular train ticket. Having your own cabin is like paying for a cruise. It's like insanely expensive. So I was like, let's just get I mean, how bad can it be just to get a regular seat, you know? We were excited. I mean, it was winter time, it was Christmas time, so we went and got new boots from Nordstrom, like ready for New York City and snow and ice and whatever they have. We got new boots, we got new coats, new purses, just like stoked for the trip. So the day comes, and I had my friend take us to the train station down in Dallas, and like we drive up there, and like we get a knock on our window. We're like sitting there talking, and we're like look over, and some homeless man is like knocking on our window. So my mom she didn't roll the window down. What is this, 1995? she pushed the automatic window thing and was like, yes, can I help you? And he was like, can you guys have any money? And we were like, yeah. I mean, we looked around the car. In fact, it might have been my friend Grace that was driving. Yeah, it was, because she was dropping us off. Okay, she was dropping us off in her car, and she had like some change in her cup holder or whatever, and she's like, I have this, and he was like, okay, thank you. So I was like, okay, this is weird. I mean, obviously there's homeless people, that's not a big deal, but like approaching vehicles, that was just kind of strange. That happens more in my experience in like New York City or big cities like that, but it was just weird for that to happen in Dallas. So that was kind of like, I didn't feel very safe like when that was happening. Anyways, so she drops us off, we go in, and people start to like accumulate, like ready to get on the train. It was cool until I think it was this first night that it was dinner time, and they're like, okay, car, whatever, you can go get dinner. We're like, okay. So we went to go get dinner, but they sit you in a booth with, like, if there's 3 of you, they'll sit you with another person if it's just one of them. So I mean, that's kind of weird. Obviously we're not used to that, but it was especially weird because the booths were really small. Like, you're strangers, and I volunteered to sit next to the strange looking older man that I didn't know. I mean, he was weird. He was giving off weird vibes, and you're like touching, like that's how close you are. You're like, hi, yeah, pass the bread. It was just weird with this stranger. And honestly, I'm kind of an outgoing person, so I don't mind meeting strangers, but this dude was strange. He was just like, he wouldn't talk very much, and he was just like, I don't know. He was like he came out of a creepy movie. I can't describe it. He was just weird. Dinner was over. We go back to sit in our chair and it's time for bed. The lights go out. We're like, okay, good. So we made it the first day. We go to sleep. Like 5 minutes later, this man sitting up in the front right corner starts snoring. And I thought, oh, well, I mean, I can deal with it. My dad snores a little bit, but then he stops and then it's like, you can kind of deal with it. The guy snored literally the entire night. Like from the second we closed our eyes to the morning. And we didn't sleep at all. We couldn't sleep. So then, so it's the next day and we're waking up. We had gone through St. Louis and they were taking us to Chicago to get off of the train and to get on another one. But from the time we got off the train, there was a I always want to say layaway, a layover. There was a layover in Chicago for like 5 hours. Okay. Well, that second day we were on a train with a couple of people and they start talking. I mean, when you're on a train with people, they like start talking and you're friendly and you're like, hi, nice to meet you, you know, where are you going? They're like, New York City, and you're like, yeah, same, whatever. Yeah, I have family there. So it's just kind of a friendly environment. That day was kind of like that. And we met this lady who was from, I want to say like Jamaica or Trinidad. I honestly can't remember because this was like 2012. So I can't exactly remember. But anyways, she was there with her daughter and she was like, she started talking to us on that second day, like on our way to Chicago. She started talking to us and she's like, yeah, like I just remember her talking about weird stuff like, I never eat fruit if it's got mold on it. And I was like, that's very good. That's a good rule to live by. And she like talked and talked and talked. And we were just being nice and like not rude. I don't know. I didn't have headphones, so I was kind of open to people talking to me. Not by my choice. But anyways, she was talking. Well, by the time we got to Chicago finally, and I had a gift card to go to Grand Lux Cafe. We got off about 1 in Chicago, something like that. It's Chicago, get off the train, and this lady is like really close, like behind us. You know how once you're walking and they're like right up behind? That's what she was doing. And so at this train station, they have like all these lockers lined up. And you go there and you put your stuff in there, like your luggage, so you don't have to traipse it around the city. But they cost, not free, of course. So we're like putting I don't even think we had much cash. I think we had just enough to get like a locker for ourselves. And this lady's like, can I borrow money from you guys? And we're like, well, we don't have enough. We just have enough for this locker for us. And she's like, well, can I put my things in your locker? And we were like, it's not gonna fit because we had 3 things of luggage, or 3 of us. So she's like, okay, I'll make do. So she's like going around and asking other people for money. Finally, I guess somebody helped her and got her a locker. Then I thought, okay, we'll just keep walking. Well, the second she found a locker, she was like right up on us again. And we're walking out of the train station onto the Chicago street. And I was just talking with my mom and brother, and I'm like, hey, let's walk. Like, this is not a big deal. It's probably 15 blocks. I don't know. I didn't know exactly. It was like a couple miles, but when you're in the city, you walk. It's not like, you know, something that's strange. So I was like, let's just walk. Well, she comes up behind us and she's like, my mom was talking to my mom. I was like, well, honey, it's like 2 miles, so why don't we get a cab? We'll get there faster and then we'll have more time to like shop and stuff. And I was like, okay, well, I guess that makes sense. Well, this lady comes right up and she's like, hey, can I share a cab with you guys? And we're like, well, I don't know if there will be room. And she's like, no, it's okay. Oh, we'll share a cab. So she's like, let's share a cab. So we're like, she's like, I'll pay for half. And we're like, okay. We're like, we'll get in a cab. So she like gets in a cab with us and then gets off exactly where we get off, by the Grand Lux Cafe. It's on the, what do they call it? the Magnificent Mile, that's what it's called. So we get dropped off at the Magnificent Mile where the restaurant is, and this lady is like, can we eat with you guys? And we're just like, yeah, I mean, it's kind of expensive, like, because we didn't have money to feed her and her daughter, and like, obviously we don't know them, so I'm not sure why that would be expected. But anyways, she was like, we eat with you guys? And we're like, sure. We like didn't know what to say. We didn't want to be mean. We knew they were by themselves, so we were like, sure. So she goes in with us to Grand Lux Cafe, and we walk in. And it's like cool. I've never been in there before, and I was like, this is so awesome, because there's windows when you're sitting and eating overlooking the city. You can see shoppers and people going by, and it was Christmas time, so it's like magical at Christmas time. The cities are, you know. So we have a table, and it's my brother, myself, and my mom. We're sitting here across from this lady and her daughter. I mean, it was awkward, like totally awkward, but we were trying to be nice, and we were just like, we didn't know what to do. It was weird. So she's sitting there, and I thought, well, you know, she's obviously alone. She's probably scared because she doesn't know where she's at or whatever. It's fine. We'll just deal with it. So up comes our server, this adorable young guy. He's like, hey guys, welcome to Grand Lux Cafe. Have you been here before? Da, da, da. He does his spiel really nice. And we're like, okay, awesome. And we're about to give our drink orders. And the lady was like, I want tati. Like, not even please or a smile or like polite to this guy. And he was like, okay. And she goes, you bring it to me hot. And he was like, okay, yeah, well, I'll bring it to you hot. She goes, because you don't know what will happen. She said something, she like almost threatened him. Like, I can't remember exactly what she said, but like, you better bring it hot or else, or something really weird. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's like threatening our server. And I am I'm like the type of person that I am super nice to my servers, because A, it's their job, but you don't have to be rude to people because they're serving you. B, you don't want them to go spit in your food, because they will, and some people deserve it. So I get, like, I'm sitting there having like an out-of-body experience, like she's not being this rude to this server. I am eating here. He's gonna spit in our food. A, that's pretty unsanitary, and I'm a germaphobe. B, you don't talk to people like that. I don't care who they are. You don't talk to them like that. So I'm like sitting there, my face is turning beet red. I know it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed, and I feel so bad for this guy. So I excuse myself. I'm like, I'm gonna go to the restroom. So on my way to the restroom, I found our server like in a corner, like he was in the back hidden. And I was like, hey, I was like, listen, I am so sorry for how that lady spoke to you. I literally don't know her. She just we were on the train with her, and she followed us to the restaurant and is sitting at our table. So like, I don't know her. So if you're gonna spit in like anyone's food, like stick to her. Like, we don't treat servers like that. We love servers. I was a server once. Like, it is. All right, so my camera died in the middle of that story. Okay, so anyways, I told the server, look, that's totally unacceptable. We do not talk to people that way. Just don't take it out on us. We're gonna tip you well. It's all gonna be good on our end. And he was like, okay, yeah, no problem, don't worry about it. So we were chill, and I was like, okay, good, my food won't be spit in. Like, we're in a good situation here. So I was like, okay. So we got through the most awkward dinner ever, and I was like, okay, good, when dinner's over, we can get out of here and go shopping, because we're in Chicago. Hello, Magnificent Mile. There's tons of stores, and I used to shop there when I was younger, so I kind of knew places where I wanted to go. So we walk out, and she's still following us, and I was like, okay, we're just gonna hit up some stores, so we'll see you back at the train station. But she wouldn't leave our side, like, wouldn't leave. And she's like, oh, I gotta get my daughter a hat or gloves or something. And we were like, okay, well, you might want to go in that store. And she's like, okay. So she goes in 2 stores with us, and she goes, oh, they're too expensive. So right there, she was like fishing for us to buy her daughter like winter wear or something. And I was like, look, I don't know who this lady is, but I'm trying to be nice, and like, my patience is getting tested, because I just want to be with my family alone shopping and feel safe. It was just weird. So we end up going into Macy's, and we're like, okay, we're gonna go to the bathroom. I said, hey, the kids section is upstairs. If you want to go upstairs and get her like a hat or whatever, we're gonna go to the restroom. So she said, okay, I'll go do that. So she goes upstairs, and we go to the bathroom. We come out, and she's nowhere to be found in Macy's, and we're like, yes, finally we can like be free of this person who keeps following us. So we leave Macy's. We start walking down Magnificent Mile, kind of as fast as we could, but you know, I'm trying to hit up stores. So I see like Topshop. I went into Topshop. I went into like a few different stores. We probably walked like 10 or 15 blocks. We come out of Topshop because we have to get back to the train station to get back on the train to go to New York City. So we come out of Topshop, and we're like, all right, let's get a cab, let's get back, because it's nighttime by now. You don't really want to walk around at night in a city you're not super familiar with. I was familiar with Magnificent Mile, but not the rest of it. So we went to call a cab. One stopped, and we hear, hey, you guys. And we all turned around like, are you kidding me? Of course, we didn't say that, but in our minds, we were like, are you kidding me? She was right there, and she was like, hey, I want to get a cab with you guys. And we were like, oh my gosh, she's found us. So we take the cab. She gets in the cab with us and goes back to the train station. So we're like, so we get back to the train station. She was like sitting behind us on the train. Oh no, let me back up a little bit. We get in line to get on the train, and we're like one of the first few people. We're like, yes, we got our luggage. We're standing in line. We waited in line for an hour at the train station, standing up with all of our luggage on us in winter coats. We stood in line for an hour. The train gets there. This guy comes out and says, okay, all aboard to New York City or whatever. We're like, yes, that's us. We're getting on this train finally. Then he says, all elderly people come to the front of the line. Okay, not a big deal. I mean, if you're elderly, I get it. You need to be, I mean, you've been here for a long time. It's stressful. Take them to the front. Cool. Disabled, same thing. Go ahead. It's not a big deal. You need to be up to the front. It's all good. Then they say families with children. Like, are you kidding me? That was the whole freaking set of people that were around us. Everybody had kids. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now? My brother was like 13, so he didn't like count as a kid or whatever. Was he 13? 14? I don't know. So we were like, oh my gosh, the whole freaking set of people that were sitting down and chilling went in front of us, and we literally had to wait another like 45 minutes till the entire world got on the train before us, because we wanted to get a seat, you know, away from this lady. This lady's behind us. We finally boarded. This lady's behind us and like asking mom for food, like her leftovers from the restaurant. She was like, hey, so my mom was like, sure. She like gave her some of her food. Like she was just like a mooch. I sat by myself, and my mom and brother were in the aisle next to me, and there's like a walk down the middle. So I'm by myself, and this guy comes and sits by me. Okay, so my camera died for the second time. Back to where I was. So this Hispanic guy comes and sits next to me, and that the reason why I'm telling you that he's Hispanic, you'll find out later. So he sits next to me, and I'm like, hey, what's up? And we're talking, we're like, I mean, it's chill. He was from California, and he said he liked to salsa dance, and I'm like, that's awesome. And I mean, we're buds. He's like sharing candy with me from Mexico, and Mexican cookies and all this stuff, and I'm like, yeah, sweet. We finally are near somebody normal and not rude. We are sitting there, and it's like nighttime now. It's probably I don't know, 1 a.m., something like that, and people are sleeping. The lights are out, and there's this couple in the front, and they're sitting there talking, and she's like crying, and he's like out in the middle of the floor on his knees. Like, I don't know what's going on, but they are fighting, like legit. Everybody's sleeping, and she's like saying stuff like, I can't believe this. And he's like, look, can't we stay at your mom's when we get to New York City? And she's like, no, she's not gonna let us. And he was like, well, he's like, look, we have to work something out. Well, they start fighting, and she yells really loud, you beat me while I'm pregnant. And I'm sitting there like, oh my gosh, what is happening? It was so awkward, and also that's like disturbing. And so I'm sitting there, and she's crying and he's crying. They're both crying and yelling at each other. And so after like 20 minutes of that soap opera, like 5 rows ahead, it stops, and he turns around and comes back, and I see him like talking to people, and he came back to my mom and my brother, who are sitting like on the row beside me, and he says to my mom, he's like, do you have any beer? And she's like, no, I don't. And he goes, you have really beautiful eyes. Like, he was a total creep. Then he looks at my brother, who's also like a teenager or whatever. He's like, hey, do you have any beer? And my brother's like, no, I don't. Sorry, bud. And he's like literally asking everyone on the train, do you have any beer? Then he goes, do you have any food? Do you guys have any food? And we're like, yeah, we brought some for ourselves. And I'm pretty sure my mom gave him like a Twinkie or something, whatever we had. We don't buy Twinkies, but you know what I'm saying? Some kind of snack cake or whatever. And he was like, thanks, and I walked away. Well, I was like, dude, this is weird. I feel unsafe. Like, there's weird people on this train. So then I look up. People are quiet. Everyone's sleeping around. I'm thinking, how are they sleeping? In front of me, I look in front of me, and I see that same dude that was asking for beer and apparently beat his wife while she was pregnant. He was literally rooting through the woman's purse in front of me. I was like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me right now? But this like person is sleeping, and he's like rooting through her bag. But so I'm like, okay, I didn't see him take anything, but this is like not right. The dude should not be looking through people's purses and bags and stuff. So I look over at my mom, like, Mom, did you just see that? And she's like, what is up? I was like, he's rooting through people's stuff. And she's like, well, we need to tell somebody. We need to tell the conductor or whatever, the driver of the train, whatever. So like, okay, I will go do it. There's like, how do you describe it? Like, you can go on the other train, the other separate trains. Not trains, what do they call? There's like segments of a train. You know what I'm saying? I can't think of the word. So I'm like, I look at the guy next to me. I'm like, hey, do you want to go with me to go find security or somebody to handle this guy? And he's like, yeah, we'll go. So this guy, my buddy, walks with me. Literally, we go through 5 different segments of the train. And we're like walking, and the train's like going like this. We're walking down the aisle, and it's like it's probably 2 or 3 a.m. by now. And so we finally get to the security guy, who's like on his Game Boy. And I was like, excuse me, there's a guy on like where we're sitting in our part of the train, and he's like going through people's bags, and he's like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to go back there and see what's going on. So all 3 of us traipsed back like 5 or 6 trains back to where we were, and the guy's nowhere to be found. The guy rooting through the bags. I'm like, awesome, he's missing now. Nowhere to be found. And we're like, okay, just keep an eye out for him, obviously, because he's running around somewhere on the train, probably stealing stuff. The first or second day, the bathroom broke on our train, so we had to go to a different one. So like, if you had to go to the bathroom, you had to go like 3 trains up, and it was a hassle. Like the whole thing was a hassle. And then by like the third day, if you had to go to the bathroom, you were like standing in pee. I'm not even kidding. People don't apparently sit down, or, I mean, I know men don't, obviously, but you were standing in pee. Like there was nobody cleaning it up. It was like on the ground, like flooded. Okay? Like a third world country. I don't know. It was like just unbelievable. Just unbelievable. We're so scared that there's like criminals on the loose that my brother has mace in his hand. Like he's sitting there with mace. Like we're not sleeping. He's just sitting there with mace in case anyone comes up to us and acts crazy. And we're like freaking out. We're like, okay, hopefully we can make it through the night. So we did. We made it through the night and it's 6 in the morning now. And we're like in Buffalo, New York. Okay. I would have still been sleeping, but I hear like all these men get on. The border patrol came on. Anyways, they came on and they were going around and they were asking people, hey, are you an American citizen? Are you an American citizen? Are you an American? So he like went to every row. The guy next to me, he goes, are you an American citizen? And the guy next to me just looks at him like, and I was like, what's happening right now? They go, come with us. So this dude is like, he gets up. They said, get your stuff. He gets up and walks off the train. The dude was like an illegal in America, which obviously they're here, but like I didn't realize he was illegal, and I was like, oh my gosh. He literally got all the way from California to New York, and they caught him and took him off the train so that he could be deported back into his country where he could be legally. So I was like, are you kidding me? The one person that I felt like, okay, he's not going to rob me while I'm sleeping. The one person was an illegal, what do they call it? It's not alien. Illegal immigrant. Illegal immigrant. Okay. It is like 10 p.m. So just deal with this right now. So they haul him off at 6 a.m. Then it's found out that the couple that were fighting in the middle of the night had made like fake tickets to get on the train. So they were trying to get them off, but they didn't get them off in Buffalo. They're going to wait to New York. I don't know. It's like this whole big story. Okay, so the train is like emptying out because we're getting towards New York. So we hadn't seen the lady from Trinidad or Jamaica or whatever. We hadn't seen her or heard from her. Well, I think she realized we were like kind of over her trying to get stuff out of us. So she, I guess, leached on to somebody else. I don't know. But we finally were like, we saw people like moving to the other trains. We're like, hey, maybe we could spread out and like get our own like little segment of the train to sit on, or at least like have some space or whatever. Also, I think the air conditioning went out on it, and so they were letting us go to like other parts. So we finally, it's like our last day of the trip, we finally go up to like the front section, and we look around and we're like, yes, okay, there's no crazy couple. That lady and her daughter, they're like gone, and we think, oh, we can breathe. Then on comes the guy. Then comes his girlfriend, the couple, the crazy couple. And they're on there and she's like, well, I can't use my cell phone. And he's like, well, I don't have cell. They're like fighting over her cell phone. So I knew it. I was just like ready. I was like, I know they're going to ask for our phone. Which, if you know me, like, if somebody is in dire need of my phone, I will let them use it. But I've seen too many things like where people borrow your phone and then they run off with it or whatever. So I'm not playing that game. Like, I had just had an iPhone. I was like, no, he's going to ask me for my phone. I'm going to say, you're going to have to ask somebody else. Of course, he comes up and he's like, hey, can we use your phones? And I was like, no. And he was like, okay, okay, so we finally get to New York City. By the third day, we had to walk and pee in the bathrooms. Nobody around us had showered. I mean, we couldn't shower, but like every day we would try to freshen up, like put deodorant on, brush our teeth, stuff like that. And that wasn't something that we had thought through because we were just like, oh, we just didn't even think about it. We get off in New York City and we're like, oh my gosh, we're finally free. Of course, like New York City is like the safest place in the world, but we actually felt safe getting off of that train. We felt safer going into New York City than we did on that train. So we get off, and my aunts, my mom's sisters, were coming to pick us up. We finally got to the hotel. We ended up driving home, which was 25 hours, and I have never been so happy to get in a car in my entire life and go on a 25-hour road trip, because it just meant we did not have to get back on that train again. So moral of the story is, Amtrak is great if you're like going to work 30 minutes, an hour or whatever, but cross country, it is literal torture. That was my story time. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you learned something from it and never get on a train like that. Subscribe if you want to see some more like day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.